Hello and welcome to this new lesson in which we are going to talk about loops. Loops in C. Loops are a part of C programming that are used to repeat a specific block of code. There are two main reasons to use loops. The first one is to repeat the code for defined number of iterations. For example, repeating a part of the code 10 times. We often use for loop in this case. The second reason is repeat the code until a certain event happens. For example, repeating a part of the code until user enters X. We often use while loop or do while loop in this case. We will talk about these three types of loops in a minute. Now, the first type that we will cover in this lesson is for loop. For loop is used to apply the code for defined number of iterations. This loop take this syntax. Now let's discuss the syntax. The first part is writing the for itself. It's called for loop. Then we add two parentheses. After that, we will add two curly braces. Now we will add the code that we want to repeat for a certain number of times between the two curly braces. Now between the parentheses, we need to add two semicolons, here and here. The first part between the first parentheses and the first semicolon is the start condition. Now this will be the variable initialization, like we want the variable to start from 0. Between these two semicolons, we will add the condition. And the last step is between this semicolon and the closing parentheses is adding the action, which is basically increasing the variable or doing anything. Now, let's look at this example to understand the syntax. First, we created a variable. The name is I, the type is integer. Then, we added the starting point here. I equals 0, which is the starting point for the number of iterations that we want. Here is the condition. As long as I is below 5 or is less than 5, this block of code will be executed. So first it will make I equal 0, then it will check the condition. 0 is less than 5, that's true. After that, it will go and execute the action. Once this code is executed between the two curly braces, this one and this one, it will go back to this action. This action is executed after executing the loop body statement. So it will increase I by 1. So I in the first iteration was 0. Now I equals 1. Now once I equals 1, it will go back to check the condition. It will never go back to the start action ever again. The start action is only executed at the beginning of looping. Now 1 is less than 5, that's true, so it will go back to executing the loop body statement. Once done, it will go back to the action to increase I by 1. Now I equals 2. Then it will go and check the condition. 2 is less than 5, so it will go and execute this command. Once done, it will go back to the action. I will be increased by 1. It will go back to the condition. 3 is less than 5, that's true, so it will execute the loop body statement, go back to the action. I equals 4. so it will go back to the condition. 4 is less than 5, that's true, so it will execute this line again, and it will go back to the action I plus plus, so I equals 5. Now in this case, 5 is not less than 5, so the condition will be false, and it will not execute the loop body statement. It will go out of the loop. That's it. This is how easy it is to understand the for loop syntax. The start condition is only executed once when we first start playing the loop. Then it will check the condition. If true, it will go execute the code, go to the action, then go back to the condition, check. If true, execute the code, go back to the action, then check the condition, and so on. It will keep looping in this until the condition is false, then it will go out of the loop. Now, to make things more clear, let's take a practical exercise. Now, as usual, let's hash include create the main function, choose the language to be C, and in here, int I equals 0. Let's do the same example, then we can make a new one. I equals 0, which is the start condition. I is less than 5, which is the condition itself, and the action is I plus plus. Now the code that we want to execute is the printf. This is me inside for loop. Condition is true. And add /n. Now let's save it. 14 for loop. Let's run the code. gcc.c a.exe. As you can see, this is me inside the code. It was executed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times from 0 to 4. This is 0, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once I equals 5, the condition will be false and it will get out of the loop. Now we can spice things up, like by adding I and printing it inside the loop. So this is me inside the loop. Condition is true. Let's add them. I equal %d. Now to print I, all what you need to do is add I here. It will %d will replace I value and print it inside this line. So save your code, go back, compile, then run. As you can see, I equal 0, I equal 1, I equal 2, I equal 3, and I equal 4, which is what we explained in the previous explanation at the beginning of this lesson. Once I equals 5, it will not execute the loop body statement, it will exit the loop. Now, another cool thing that you can do is you can, let's say, print the values or print a name 100 times with just 2 lines of code. So let's add this as 500, which is the condition, as you can see. So this line will be printed 500 times. Let's see gcc a.exe. As you can see, from 0 to 499. So we just printed 500 lines with just 2 lines of code. As you can see, from 0 to 499. And you can increase the number, which is here in the condition. Now, a few things that we need to mention is that the start is only executed once, then it will keep looping between the condition the loop body statement and the action, then the condition, loop body statement, action, condition, loop body statement, action, and so on until the condition is false. That's it for this lesson. If you have any questions about for loop, I'm here to help. Again, for loop is used to print, let's say, a value or a line or a piece of code for a specific number of iteration. In the next lessons, we will talk about loops that are used when we want to focus on the condition. Thanks for watching this lesson. This is Ashraf from Educational Engineering Team.